Game 5. With their bats now apparently back in the groove, the Brewers look to move up a game in the series behind the pitching hero of the first contest. In that game, Mike Caldwell retired 27 of 31 batters in pitching the best game of his life. But this time, the Cardinals don't find his pitches quite so impossible. St. Louis stings Caldwell for 14 hits and in every inning gets at least one base runner. That's asking for it, since the Redbirds stole 200 bases during the season. But Caldwell hangs tough with a little help from his mates. Repeatedly, the audience thundered up a big hand for the helping hands, as it did on every trip to the plate by superhero Robin Yount. Bob Forsch couldn't stop Yount in the first game and couldn't stop him here in Game 5, as once again Rockin' Robin knocked out 4 hits. No one had ever had 2 4-hit games in World Series competition, but now Robin Yount did it twice in the same series. Base hit number 4 went for 4 bases and gave the Brewers a 4-2 lead in the 7th. It gave Yount a .524 average with 6 RBIs and led the way to a 6-4 Brewer victory and a 3-2 lead in the World Series. The Milwaukee Brewers were in the driver's seat. But then again, 'twas the Cardinals who were going home to that familiar arch, home to the Mississippi. Home to Busch Stadium, a ballpark with artificial grass and a field designed for speed. And home to the hometown crowd.
Tonight, the 6th game of the 1982 World Series, brought to you by Miller High Life, the best beer for the best time of the day. Welcome to Miller Time. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Gillette, makers of Good News, the disposable razor with micro-smooth twin blades. And by Seiko and your authorized Seiko dealers, who remind you that people trust Seiko more than any other watch. And we'll be back with the start of the game right after these messages.
Here's your chance to get the official 1982 World Series program, a collector's item commemorating the 79th Fall Classic. Send check or money order for $4 to World Series program, Post Office Box 9800T, St. Paul, Minnesota 55198. Please make checks payable to World Series program. That's World Series program, Box 9800T, St. Paul, Minnesota. Allow 8 weeks for delivery. The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Beautiful Busch Stadium, Game 6, and the ceremonial first pitch. Tonight, the ball was thrown out by Hall of Famer Stan Musial. Big crowd on hand. There you see Stan the man, and he's thrown to Butch Yatkaman. There you see Butch in the red pants, white shirt. Yatkaman is retiring as Cardinal clubhouse man after 59 years with the Cardinals.
In fact, Joe, Whitey talked him out of it last year. He was going to retire last year, and Whitey said you can't retire in that strike season. So he's in the World Series.
Here's the lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers. Paul Molitor leads off at third base. Robin Yount batting second at shortstop. Cecil Cooper in the third slot at first base. Ted Simmons behind the plate in the cleanup spot. Ben Ogilvie in left field. Gorman Thomas in center field. The designated hitter, Don Money. The right fielder is Charlie Moore, and batting ninth is Jim Gentner at second base.
The Cardinals need 2 ball games to become World Championships, so they're fighting from behind. John Stuper, a youngster, will have this defense behind him. Lonnie Smith, Willie McGee, George Hendrick from left to right. Ken Oberkfell, Ozzie Smith, Tommy Herr, Keith Hernandez, Darrell Porter, the catcher. And a young man against the veteran, Joe.
John Stuper. He's the 14th rookie pitcher to ever start 2 World Series games. The Cardinal Dick Hughes was the last to do it in 1967. Against Molitor, 8 for 23. Molitor, a good first ball fastball hitter. Here we go. High, ball 1. Jim Evans of the American League is the umpire behind the plate. One ball and 1 strike to count. Molitor, no home runs, 2 runs batted in, hitting .348 in this series. Little blooper, center field, and Ozzie Smith takes it.
Cardinal pitching coach Hub Kittle and Whitey Herzog didn't feel that Stuper threw the ball that well when he matched up with Sutton in game 2. Darrell Porter, his catcher, Joe, said he won't be nervous, but he'll be so keyed up, we've got to keep him from overthrowing tonight like he did in game 2.
Robin Yount steps in there, 11 for 21. It is low, ball 1. Yount, 1 home run, 6 runs batted in, a .524 batting average. All kinds of records in this series so far. There's the strike. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Has 5 consecutive hits. He's got 4 hits twice. He's 1 shy of the World Series record of 6 consecutive hits established by Goose Goslin. Thurman Munson did it in '76. Goslin did it in '24.
Up the middle, a base hit. Munson has just tied Goose Goslin. He's got his 4th base hit of the night. And he joins 120 other guys, I guess, with 4 hits in the game.
There have been so many varying weather reports over the last 4 or 5 hours. It is incredible. We've heard rain and possible sleet, tornado warnings. In fact, the blimp had to leave. It couldn't stay up above the stadium. It was just too gusty.
Well, this game will go on indefinitely. They'll complete 9 innings with the rain interrupt. Up the middle, right back to John Stuper. The streak is broken, and both batters, Molitor and Yount, have hit it on the handle. Here is Cecil Cooper. Cooper, 1 home run, 5 runs batted in. He's 7 for 21, a .333 average. The commissioner, of course, in complete command now as far as this game when it comes to weather. 1 strike on Cooper.
And his fastball, at least to the first 3 hitters, looks very crisp. Better than it did in game 2. Hub Kittle would like to see him keep the ball down. Slider's more effective, and his ball has a little movement away from the left-hander, although a 4-seamer that he throws can get up and in to a left-handed hitter.
With that shot you see from center field, the umpire generally gets the top of the strike zone in eyesight. So if he raises his eyes, he calls it a ball automatically. Jim Evans may be calling a few low strikes. Watch his line of sight where it is as far as the strike zone. It's below the letters, so it could be a factor. Whitey Herzog and Hub Kittle of the Cardinals, Harvey Keene of Milwaukee, Cooper to left field, Lonnie Smith near the line, makes the play. It's 3 up, 3 down. Milwaukee does not score at top of the first. We go to the bottom half. Lonnie Smith, Oberkfell, and Hernandez for St. Louis. Don Sutton tunes up. This is the batting order he'll be facing in Game 6. Lonnie Smith in left field. Third baseman Ken Oberkfell, the leading hitter for the Cardinals. Keith Hernandez broke out of his slump in Game 5. Cleanup George Hendrick in right field. The catcher Darrell Porter. Hitting 6th, the designated hitter Dane Orge. In center field, the exciting youngster Willie McGee. Second baseman Tom Herr at second. And the dazzling shortstop Ozzie Smith at shortstop.
In Game 5, the Cardinals hit the ball very hard, but this defense shut off a lot of runs. Ogilvie in left, Thomas in center, Moore in right, Molitor, Yount, Gantner, and Cooper around the infield. Ted Simmons, the catcher, and the money pitcher, Don Sutton.
Here is Lonnie Smith. Smith leading it off is 5 for 20. That's a .250 average. And it's ball 1. Don Sutton.
Man probably most responsible on the starting staff for getting the Brewers this far. He picked them up when they were down a couple of times.
It's high, ball 2. The average is only 2.3 walks per 9 innings, 6.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. Game 2, he pitched 6 in the 3rd innings. He walked struck out 3, walked 1. 4 earned runs, no decision. High, 3-0. 3-1 to count. Lonnie Smith, leadoff man, against Don Sutton. Came over from Houston August 30th. For Frank Tapino, Mike Madden, and Kevin Bass. And 2 strikes on Lonnie Smith. Struck him out. Don Sutton went to 3-0 and came back and gets Lonnie Smith called out on strikes.
Looked like all fastballs that he used on Lonnie. He was 4-1 in September, and if not for a home run from Von Hayes in Cleveland, Sutton would have been 5-0. In that important last game of the regular season against Baltimore. There's his record here in Busch Stadium, St. Louis. Not pitched that well. In fact, he's lost his last 5 decisions here.
The last time he won was September 11th, 1976. Here is Oberkfell. Ball 1. He falls behind Oberkfell.
You know, Joe, when California had beaten the Brewers 2 straight, they're on the brink of elimination. And Sutton pitched Game 3 and picked them up 1 more time.
1 ball and 1 strike as the fastball catches the strike zone. 1 ball, 1 strike as we look at the on-deck man, Keith Hernandez. High fly ball, short right center field. Charlie Moore says, "I'll take it," and he does. 2 outs, and you talk about a guy doing a job without a whole lot of publicity. It's that Charlie Moore in right field.
He has saved a few runs. In fact, Game 5, Joe, I cannot remember a World Series game anywhere or any time where I've seen more good plays in every part of the field. Almost every Brewer in that ball game made a good play, 4 outstanding ones, except Ogilvie in left.
They cover the field with leather. Here is Keith Hernandez hitting 158, 3 for 19. All 1. 2 men out, nobody on. Bottom of the 1st, no score. Cecil Cooper once again to Sutton, good play. Cecil Cooper makes a fine play, going to his right. Sutton covering, Hernandez is out. So it's 1, 2, 3 as we look at it from right field, and watch Cooper just go over there, handle it oh so easily. And with Sutton covering, it's 1, 2, 3. At the end of 1 full inning, it's Milwaukee nothing, St. Louis nothing. Ted Simmons leads it off, takes the first pitch outside, and it's ball 1. Top of the 2nd, no score. Two balls and no strikes. Simmons, 2 home runs. He has driven in 3 runs. He's 4 for 17. Outside, and it's 3-0. Stuper averages 3.6 walks per 9 innings. In game 2, 4 innings pitched, 4 runs, 6 hits, struck out 3, walked 3, no decision. There's a strike.
Joe, I wonder if after those home runs here by Simmons, they haven't started pitching him a little more carefully. He's got 4 base on balls, and I really think they're pitching to him as carefully as anybody else, because they know if he gets his bat hot against this fastball pitching league, he'll tear you apart.
He draws the base on balls, so Simmons is on.
It's his 5th walk in this series.
And that brings up Ben Ogilvy.
Fielder Ben Ogilvy.
Ogilvy 4 for 19. Hernandez has to hold him first, so he's got the gap between first and second. He shoot through. Little off the handle, base hit into center field. Simmons rounds second. He holds on, and Ogilvy has himself the first base hit of the ball game.
And Joe, in game 2, that's the same kind of pitch that got Stuper in trouble in that ball game with a walk thrown in here and there. 1 ball, 2 strikes ahead of the hitter, and he threw what looked like a breaking ball or a cut fastball up and in. You can see he decoys up and in, hits it on the fist, but in the perfect spot.
Hit that right below the trademark, but he hit it up the middle. And here comes the rain. It's starting to come down. Little drizzle. They expect it. The people are prepared, but the weatherman has given us all kinds of reports, as you heard Tony earlier. And Gorman Thomas steps in there. He bunts it foul for strike 1. At third base, Oberkfell not looking for the bunt, and had Thomas gotten that ball down, I'm sure the bases would have been loaded.
And you wonder, too, Joe, you just gave somewhat of a weather report. We can see the umbrella up. You want to play, because they play by the same rules, which I think is unfair in a short series like this. For a suspended game, you might want to get a couple of runs early. The rain out's the same thing, 5 innings of the season. That's unfair in World Series.
I don't think they're going to call this, Tony. We may finish this thing right after.
What happens if the Brewers are ahead after 5, and if a deluge come down, they just can't play? It is unfair that it would be a complete ball game, an official game.
Well,
it could happen.
Center field. McGee is there. He'll make the play. I'll tell you what, it'll be another World Series record, longest time between raindrops.
I'll tell you one thing, that in watching the radar report on the local news, it looked like one of those home video games. There was so much action as that front is moving in from the west. It's going to miss a great chance if it doesn't rain hard.
Here is Don Money, the designated hitter. Base runners at first and second, 1 man out. Money 3 for 10. Bouncing ball, Oberkfell at third, over to second, 1 out, over to first, a double play.
Tobin out, nobody out. Oberkfell had a battle at dirt and the seam, and Tommy Hurt unloads.
Busch Stadium in St. Louis, and Don Sutton. And according to Don Sutton, 3 most pressure games, look at that. 77 All-Star game is returned to Dodger Stadium, and the 13th start when he had no wins in 76. A World Series, not that much pressure. Here is George Hendrick. George 5 for 18. They've really been laying the ball on the outside part of the plate low. Right about there, and he has gotten 5 base hits, and 3 of them, I remember, right back up the middle when he had to. I think he's done a great piece of hitting in this series.
The Brewers know he's one of those who can hit the home run, the long ball in this club, one of just a couple. He and Hernandez, basically, but he has the most this year. So I'm sure that he's going to get out, and they're going to give him singles.
Right on the outside part of that plate. There's the difference between the good pitcher and a so-so pitcher. 2 balls and no strikes, and he lays it right there, boy. That's the Hall of Fame spot. You pitched there your entire career, and you're on the express right to Cooperstown. 2-2 the count. George Hendrick.
Sutton with a couple of different kinds of fastball. That looked more like a sinking type fastball. Been accused of doctoring a baseball. There's a good curve, slider. couple kinds of changeups. One will look like a screwball to left-handed hitters at times.
He struck him out. Don Sutton gets his second strikeout.
So I think if you were going to teach a young kid to watch
Number 15,
pitchers, and there are a number of them, Tom
catcher,
Seaver, in fact, in our booth, would be one also. You teach them to follow the mechanics of this guy. He squares up, straight toward home plate, rotates the hips, and pivots on the rubber, and then opens it back up. I guess that's why he's so durable. He's lasted so long.
Here is Darrell Porter, 6 for 18. He's compiled quite a record, Don Sutton. Strike one. Tony, we were talking about Larry Heisel the other day in Milwaukee, and I was lucky enough to run into him Sunday night in a restaurant. Inside 1-1, and I told him how disappointed he must be and how tough it must be. And he was with his young son, Larry Jr. And I tell you, that young man, and Larry said something during the playoffs. Hot smash. Gantner has him played perfectly. Easy out. During the playoffs, Larry Heisel was riding back home with his young son, and the youngster says, "Daddy, I wish it was my shoulder that was hurt, not yours, so you could play."
When you look at the Heisel stats when they got him from Minnesota, in 78, Heisel had 34 home runs, 115 runs batted in, and then his shoulder problem starts. Several times he's had surgery, not played much baseball since 79. Throw him in the middle of that lineup as a DH. And those power stats would be absolutely, well, they're close to awesome now.
Ball one. Milwaukee, 167 with the DH. St. Louis, 316.
St. Louis using a guy like Dane Orge, who'd never DH'd before his first time here. World Series.
Down the left field line. Ogilvy near the line, and he doesn't get the play. It's a fair ball. It's at least two he's going to hold up.
There's Ben Ogilvy with the left field foul up our Davy Phillips over. Fair ball, and it's hit just inside the line.
The first time we've seen the wind have an effect on a ball, as it's blowing very sharply into the left field corner.
I think a lot of this has to do with the strange ballpark. He ran a long way for Orge. He was playing him to hit the left field, which Orge does a lot of. Never took his eye off the ball. The ball just went off the side of his glove. Again, and we've mentioned this before, not to make excuses for Ogilvy, he jammed the rib cage on his right side, and before the ball game he said, "It still hurts me. It's getting better, but it still bothers me," and he cannot extend it.
So the Cardinals have Orge at second base. 2 outs. Here is Willie McGee. Robin Yount threw his legs into left field. Cardinals lead 1-0.
Early in Robin Yount's career, when he came up as an 18-year-old, he was making a lot of errors. Making up to 35 to 40 errors, but this has not happened to him, I would guarantee you, the last couple of years. And not only the run home, 2 outs, but McGee is going to try and steal. You can bet on it with a left-handed hitter up.
So McGee is on at first base. Tommy Herr is the batter. Cardinals lead 1-0.
Matter of just lifting up too soon, wasn't it, Joe? I don't know.
Well, the tailgate didn't come down.
A defense that played so flawlessly in Game 5 in Milwaukee, and a couple of mistakes here to score a run early in St. Louis.
Ball one, and Tommy Herr taking a good look. He's allowed to hit with 2 outs, of course, but he wants to know, is McGee running? And he's got just a little bit bigger lead than the first time. He's going to go. It's just a matter of time. Willie McGee. He really has those eyes glued on the pitcher.
All Simmons wants to do is have him keep him close if you can, or throw over a couple times, and then forget him. If he's going to steal and get a good jump, you're not going to throw him out anyway. So Simmons' attention basically is on the hitter.
And that's going to work against him. Holding. Deep to right field, way back. It's fair. It is home run. Go off the wall, off the wall. Here comes Willie McGee. And he drops the ball. Simmons drops the ball and safe.
Something up and in to Tommy Herr. He hasn't shown much power. In fact, he's never hit a home run in the major leagues. Just by the 330 mark, Charlie Moore. Carroll almost fooled him, but he makes a good play. McGee with that great speed coming around first base. Here he comes around third. Throw, Simmons lost it. It took a high bounce off the turf. And when he tried to leave too soon, I doubt where that throw was that high. He would not have been able to get it down in time to tag him anyway.
I don't know, Tony. That ball was there plenty of time. There's no error on that play. And the Cardinals take a 2-0 lead. Robin Yount is short. Big hop. Long throw. In time. They get Tommy Herr, Ozzie Smith. And we complete 2 innings of play. The score here, Cardinals 2, Milwaukee nothing. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Sutton ready, and Don's 1-0 pitch on the way. Fastball sliced down the left field line. Coming over is Ogilvie in the corner at the fence and can't hold on to it. Then has trouble picking it up, and Ord will hold at second base. Sutton ready. Don deals. Fastball grounded to the hole. Over to get it is Robin Yount. It went right through his legs, and here comes Ord to score. Tommy Herr waiting. The 1-1 pitch to Herr is driven to deep right field. Back goes Moore. Way back. It is off the wall. McGee is around third. Coming to the plate. He's going to be safe as the ball gets away from Ted Simmons. Into second base goes Tommy Herr.
Charlie Moore on that ball hit off the wall really uncorks the throw here. All the way, one hop. And Simmons trying to make a quick tag. The ball is there in plenty of time. It just pops out of his glove. Runner is safe. McGee, and it's 2-0. And now for the play-by-play with Charlie Moore leading off. Here's Dick Enberg.
Thank you, Joe. Stuper delivering to Moore. He was hitting .350 in the series and showed you why he has become an outstanding right fielder. He's made a brilliant catch in Game 5, and that long throw was there in time. Took the high kick, and Simmons trying to get the tag on before he really had the ball. And 2 runs for the Cardinals. They lead it 2-0 here in the top of the third.
We might have seen another difference coming from dirt and grass to artificial surface. On dirt and grass, that ball might have stayed down and given Simmons a better chance, better tagging position.
2-0. And a base hit up the alley, trying to cut it off McGee. And Moore will hold with a long single, the second hit for Milwaukee. Moore has had an excellent series. That's his 8th hit. Jim Gantner hitting 9th, the second baseman, batting .333, 6.418. John Stuper, the rookie. What a story he is. This right-hander was 6-14 in the minors last year, and here he is pitching in a critical 6th game of the World Series. Foul ball. 2 strikes on Gantner.
Dick, probably the thing that Whitey Herzog worried most about when he took this ball club over a couple of years ago was the pitching staff, and he made all those deals a couple of winters ago when actually he's only got 7 players left who were here when he originally took over. Traded 13 players, got 10 in return. Some said he made 1 trade too many, getting rid of Vukovic and Simmons and Fingers. He was worried about the pitching, and what's really has hurt him most of this year has been the lack of hitting. He's had to generate it with speed.
Stuper was acquired from the Pittsburgh Pirates for Tommy Stant, who is now managing in the Pirates farm system.
Stuper, as he said, look at my record last year. It didn't look like it was such a great trade for St. Louis. 6-14 at Springfield. Here he is in the big leagues, a 9-7 rookie year. His second World Series start. And he gets Gantner, his first strikeout tonight.
Number 4.
1 out, top of the order, Paul Molitor. Pop to the shortstop, his first trip. Yount to follow. Yount's error extending the second inning for the Cardinals as they score 2 unearned runs. A flash of lightning and a ground ball to her. Smith back to Hernandez. Double play. Cardinals turn their 9th double play of this World Series. And we're at the middle of the 3rd inning. The rain is close, and the Cardinals are in front, 2-0.
We've talked a lot about the qualities that a great shortstop like Smith has, but here's another one, fearlessness. He is listed in the spring training guide at 150. I imagine after the long season, he's probably down to 140, and he just went right at the runner coming at him, made him get down.
Ozzie Smith, one of the many athletes in this World Series, superlatives most deserving. 2-0 St. Louis. No rain yet, but flashes of lightning, rolls of thunder off in the distance. And there's another mistake by the Brewer infield as Gantner can't pick up the ball. It appeared he might have taken a quick look to see who was covering first. Cooper had left the bag. Sutton was covering. Another error, the second by Milwaukee.
One of the fundamentals that players on the right side of the diamond in the infield adhere to is if a ball's hit hard to the first baseman right, he goes for it. If it's soft, you let your second baseman take it. Cooper went after it, maybe because of the artificial surface. He thought it was going to get through. He might have been right. He might have peeked to see if Sutton was going to get over.
So Smith aboard. On the air to Gantner. Ken Oberkfell fly to right field. His first at bat. Smith, an excellent base stealer at first base. Runner goes. Simmons throw. Smith has stolen it. That's the Cardinals' 7th stolen base of the series.
Ted Simmons did all he could do. Handled the ball well, got rid of it, maybe a little bit up. There's no way if that ball's right on the bag even that he's going to get him. The aggressiveness of the Cardinals is what got him here.
That head-first slide, so effective on that particular play. And now the first base coach and Gene Giesel are running out to talk to Lonnie Smith, who on the slide may have injured himself.
Here comes Whitey Herzog out too. I think it's interesting when you compare the styles.
It's his hand, Tony.
The
it's
great
his hand.
Lou Brock. Lou Brock, who slid only feet first. You might recall that Ricky Henderson jammed his shoulder late in the season. And this is one of the reasons right now why some don't like that slide head first.
Oh, that left hand jammed on the front side of the bag.
So Ricky Henderson didn't get what a lot of people thought he was going to get, about 150, because he jammed his shoulder. Yount taking the throw. He slides late, slides very hard, and gets the left hand, it looks like, caught between his body and the bag.
Tom Seaver, your comment.
Dick, one thing I've been watching here is Don Sutton. I talked to him the other day about an inning that he threw 29 pitches when they got the runs off him the second game here in St. Louis. He has pitched over 260 innings this year, the most he has pitched since 1976, and he simply said he was tired, fatigued. And he has been some behind almost half of the hitters. He's starting off with balls, which is very uncharacteristic of Don Sutton.
And his defense has failed him in these early innings, trailing 2-0. Sutton has a runner at second, no one out. Fly ball shallow, right center, Gantner calling. And the second baseman has it.
So Oberkfell trying to pull the ball with nobody out, and Smith down at second. Couldn't get it on the ground.
Keith Hernandez, who will be 29 years old tomorrow, would like to start an early celebration. After going 0 for 15, picked up 3 hits Sunday in Milwaukee and hit the ball well first time up, but Cooper made a good play to get him on a 3-1 out. Rain, light rain falling.
And very quickly, Hernandez says, I want you to check the baseball. First time we've had it happen to Sutton tonight.
Jim Evans of the American League behind home plate. Gantner to Cooper for the second out as Smith advances to third.
Number 25, right fielder, George Hendrick.
Well, just as Hernandez will be 29 tomorrow, George Hendrick, his 33rd birthday yesterday. On Sunday, he had 3 base hits to improve his average to 278. Lonnie Smith, the third, 2 out.
The official word on Lonnie Smith, he jammed the ring finger on his left hand with that slide at second base.
Here he comes! And they get him! A daring play as Lonnie Smith attempts to steal home, and it took a perfect throw by Sutton to nail him. Oh, my.
Sutton sensed that. He might have been looking out of the corner of an eye after he looked him back. He didn't really rush his delivery to create a balk, but he threw the ball inside part of the plate where Simmons could just slap the tag and move that glove about 1.5 feet. Watch, he sets up outside, and Sutton, sensing it, throws the ball inside, seeing him coming. Only a veteran pitcher could have done that.
It's a dangerous tag by Simmons with one hand, but coming in head first.
Oh,
and
he's safe.
He
is safe. He looked to be in there.
He is safe.
So the Cardinals try to literally steal a run, and Smith, on what now appears to be a questionable call, is called out. It's 2-0 after 3.
1-0, the count of George Hendrick. Lonnie Smith coming down the line all the way on a windup. He is out at the plate. Lonnie Smith trying to steal home on Don Sutton's slow windup, and they got him. And at the end of 3, the Cardinals 2, Milwaukee 0.
You can see Simmons steps up. Out of 6 replays, this one appears to show that Lonnie Smith's hand sneaked in before the Simmons tag. There it is. If his hand was on the plate, and you cannot even tell from that, it might have been 4 or 5 inches above the plate gliding across, but that appeared that he was safe.
And, of course, the plate umpire, Jim Evans, a tough call because it plays out in front of him, and he has Simmons in the way, his body in the way, has to look around it, and from his angle, it appeared safe. But certainly from that replay, there's no doubt about it that Lonnie Smith had stolen home, and what a play that would have been, but goes for naught.
Simmons and Sutton sensing it, and Simmons creeping up and dropping to his knees where he can get the tag off a little more quickly.
Robin Yount, a high fly ball to right field. Hendrick there. And that's the first out of the Milwaukee 4th.
We'll show you Lonnie Smith's jump on Don Sutton with Hendrick up on the steal of home. Yep.
Number 15, first base.
Sutton just changes. Simmons had set up outside. Sutton is the one who adjusted and threw the ball inside. Lonnie Smith never really argued.
Watch Hendrick as he doesn't move to try to block Simmons because he can't really get in front of him. It'd be an interference, but Simmons, being down low, was able to see the runner.
Cecil Cooper up. Long fly ball to left field, his first time up. And fouls it back.
You know, if George Hendrick had swung at that pitch and hit Simmons, that's a catcher's balk.
Well, he did what all he could was to try to block it. There's a lot of things the umpire has to...
well, Hendricks, had he swung at that, it would have kept Simmons back a little bit more. Watch this. If Hendrick swings right now with Simmons coming up, that's a catcher's balk. And they would have awarded the base runner Smith home. As it is, he may have made it anyway.
High fly, shallow right center, a quartet of Cardinals surrounding it, and Ozzie takes it. Two out in the Milwaukee fourth, and Ted Simmons, the catcher, is the batter. He walked his first trip. And it's been a rarity for a steal of home in World Series play. In fact, you have to go back 18 years. Catcher Tim McCarver was the last to do it. May have been at the front end of a double steal. But just the all-out, just one man trying to steal home, so rare anymore. Rod Carew did it a few times a couple years ago. Simmons drills it to right center, but Hendrick is there. And it's 1-2-3 for Milwaukee in their fourth inning. It could be more, but after 3.5, the Cardinals will settle for 2-0. Lonnie Smith apparently had number 3. In the last of the fourth, Hendrick, Porter, and Ord for St. Louis.
Whitey Ford on the mound for the Yankees as they lead the Dodgers 6-3. At the plate, Frank Keller. Dancing off third is Jackie Robinson. Ford wary of Robinson as he starts to the plate trying to steal home. He slides as Yogi Berra puts the tag on him. Bill Summers calls Robinson safe, and Berra goes wild.
Now, many feel in looking back at that 55 film that Robinson was out. Berra certainly thought so. Just the reverse here tonight. Smith called out, feared he was safe. The hazards of the steal of home. George Hendrick pops it up and out of play. The weather report, still no heavy rain, although the forecast is almost 100%, but we've been blessed thus far. Some parts of the front have moved through.
So I think it's interesting how much further out Yogi got than Ted Simmons did. Yogi was out in front of home plate.
Simmons really reacted late. It was Sutton who made the play.
Loop to center, and a base hit. Now George Hendrick with a handle hit to center field. Leadoff man on again. Cardinals lead 2-0 last of the fourth inning. Trying to force a seventh game. Porter hit the ball hard again, but the way the Brewers have played him, with Gantner over into the hole, took the hit away. Gantner does not have that luxury. He has to give some ground toward the bag with the possibility of a double play. Ball 1. 1-1.
Might recall in game 2, I think one of the best managerial decisions in this series. Hendrick on first, Porter up 1 ball, 2 strikes, and Whitey Herzog started Hendrick. Look at how quickly he unloaded. He's going to ball. He quick pitched. Thinking the hit and run was out, he quick pitched and he called a ball. At least 3 of the 4 umpires in the infield raised their hands, calling a ball. He wanted to unload and pitch out, thinking they'd do it again in game 6. Watch Sutton. At the belt, breaks the left knee.
There was no set at all. He just came up and threw the ball.
He began right at the belt and just went up a little bit, and he just unloaded a quick pitch is what he did.
He knew it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at second. And a high drive, deep right. Porter will touch. No, it's off the top of the wall. No, it's out here. Home run. Home run.
the MVP of the National League Championship Series against Atlanta. 1 ball, 1 strike. Looked like it was inside part of the plate, about fell high. Hands are rocking in St. Louis.
In nearly the same spot as Tommy Hers, and very tough to read the ball down there. 1 ball off the top of the fence, and that went off a barrier beyond the fence for the home run, and the Cardinals celebrate a 4-0 lead. Still no one out in the 4th. Dane Orge, it was his fly ball down the left field line that Ogilvie could not handle. Went for a double that started the 2-run second inning. Base hit. Moore into the corner. Orge is going to go for 3. So the Cardinals scratching to stay in this World Series, unloading some extra base hits.
4th extra base hit in this ball game for the Cardinals, and forced for infield to come in. Whitey Herzog, who built this team on speed, scrappiness, Bruce Sooner in defense.
Harvey Keene has a right-hander throwing in the bullpen. Jim Slayton, Willie McGee up. McGee safe on Robin Yount's error. Yount coming in to say something to Sutton. No, he's going to pick up a piece of paper. There's Slayton. Winner in game 4 in relief. McGee, great speed, and the infield drawn tight. High chop, but the runner doesn't come home. Yount gets McGee, and that's the first out of the inning. Orge probably could have scored on that high bouncer, but with no one out, didn't take the chance. With 1 out, the same ball, he's coming on contact. Tommy Herr, the RBI double off the top of the wall in the 2nd inning. And same situation, Molitor, Yount, Gantner, and Cooper all playing in close.
Herr, a good bunter. He's a switch hitter to the left side. A little more difficult to put the squeeze out. Let's see if Sutton goes from the stretch to the windup. It's from the stretch. Or is he? Herzog squeezed quite a bit during the course of the season. Coming.
Beautiful bunt. The run scores. And Herr is out as Cooper makes the tag. The suicide squeeze executed perfectly.
Verbal signal from Chuck Heller. A base runner. Orge doesn't leave till Sutton throws the ball. I was very surprised he pitched from the windup and not the stretch.
Ozzie Smith, the batter. 2 out, no one on. Fouled at the plate. Tom Seaver.
One thing that's difficult in that situation, Dick, for a pitcher that puts his head down in the delivery, many pitchers will put their head down to try and keep their weight forward on the front foot. So obviously take your eye off the runner at 3rd, and the runner at that turn timed it perfectly. As soon as Sutton put his head down, that's when he broke for the plate, and you couldn't defense the suicide squeeze.
Smith to Cooper, and he'll take the play himself at first base, but the Busch Stadium crowd cheers a 3-run 4th inning. 3 runs on a 2-run homer, a single, and a triple. And after 4, it's St. Louis 5, Milwaukee nothing. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Sutton ready. Don comes back 0-1, and the pitch is looped over the head of Robin Yount into center field for a base hit. So George Hendrick opens up the 4th inning with a single to center. And the batter will be Darrell Porter. And the 1-1 pitch on the way is swung on, and a drive to right. Back goes Charlie Moore to the wall. It's gone. The 1-0 pitch to Dane Orge. Swung on, line drive down the right field line and in the corner. Orge on his way for extra bases. Moore only now getting it. Orge doesn't run that well, but he still has a triple. Sutton turning deep in thought. Started to work from a stretch, but wants to double check. Now he's on the rubber, and he's going to go to what little windup he has. And the first pitch, here comes the runner. Squeeze play. The run will score. Who's covering first? Stuper making the tag on Tommy Herr. 5-0 St. Louis on the squeeze.
Maybe I wasn't the greatest player of all time, but fans, they forgive and forget. When I go in here, they'll be buying me my favorite beer, light beer from Miller. You, Bob Euchre? Yeah, how you doing? These fans, I love them. They know us ex-big leaguers drink light because it's less filling and it tastes great. Well, can't keep the gang waiting. Fans are always joking.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Wow, they're having a good time in there.
Here in St. Louis, the good news for the Cardinal fans, 5 runs. The bad news, it's raining harder. At the commissioner's box is Bob Costas.
All right, thank you, Dick. Commissioner, we're 3 outs away from this being an official ball game. Your thoughts at this point?
Well, the rain's coming down pretty well. If the judgment of the umpires interferes with play, we'll stop and we'll wait.
How long are you prepared to wait, Commissioner?
A long time.
Let's go back upstairs to Joe and Tony and Dick and wait it out.
It is raining much harder now, and at this pace, they're going to have to bring out the tarp, even with the artificial surface. Ben Ogilvie is the leadoff hitter for Milwaukee in the 5th inning. The forecast that we received was rain around 9 o'clock was one of the many that Tony alluded to. It is 8:30 St. Louis time, and the word was that it could rain for an hour and a half, but then it would clear for another 4 or 5 hours. So what we might be in is an hour and a half, 2-hour rain delay if it worsens, and it is raining hard enough to stop play.
The umpires, even though Commissioner Kuhn is making the decision, are in a tough spot. They're trying to get 3 outs in and making the Brewers hitting this and the Cardinals pitch and playing this. It's unfair to both teams. And if it becomes an official game, it's unfair to end any World Series game that way.
Willie McGee in center field takes care of Ogilvie, 1 out. Now 4.5 innings makes it an official game with the Cardinals ahead.
It's a tough decision for Bowie Kuhn with the 5 runs up there, and with the 5 runs, if Gussie Busch has to, he'll hire 25,000 people with blotters to get this game in.
Norman Thomas, the center fielder, flied out his first time up. John Stuper working on a 5-0 lead. 1 strike. This amount of rain in County Stadium might force delay of play. There's a strike, and it's 1-2 on a grass surface. A kaleidoscope of color with all those umbrellas now in evidence.
Stuper's throwing the ball very well.
Thomas is Stuper's 2nd strikeout victim. And here's Don Money.
And we didn't see quite this kind of stuff from Stuper in game number 2. That was a wicked-looking slider. Look at that. Not only breaks away, but a good downward action. That's what Hub Kidler's trying to do, and keep him on top of that slider.
And as soon as they got the ball to Hernandez, he gave it right back to Stuper.
Ball 1 to Money, who grounded into a 5-4 double play his first trip. Oberkfell. It is now an official game as Stuper retires the Brewers in order. Eight men in a row retired by John Stuper. We're at the halfway mark, 4.5 innings, 5-0 St. Louis.
Leading off for the Cardinals, number 27.
Today, game 6. Tomorrow, well, Joaquin Andujar, the Dominican ace of the Cardinals, who pitched so magnificently in game 3 and then struck by that shot back to the box off the bat of Ted Simmons. His health is still questionable, but apparently will be the starter if there is a game 7. The rain, while it is still falling,
to a much lesser degree than earlier. Loop behind first, tough play. Fair ball. And Smith falls down, and Moore's got a shot at him. He goes back to first.
You know, it's interesting because some players and media people have made fun of him the time he falls down. As a small child, he was pigeon-toed, his toes turned in. And here he is in the rundown as he slips around. And what happens is the toe from his right foot many times catches on the calf of his left foot, and he can't avoid it. It's a little bit of a slight disability growing up that he started to correct, and that's why he falls so much. And it's been upsetting when they've called him skates.
He alertly, seeing the play being made at second base, retreated to first. Leadoff hit for Smith. Oberkfell is 0 for 2 today.
About Charlie Moore getting that goal, and once again so quickly. I know he fell down, but Charlie still might have had a shot at him.
Cardinals trying to build on a 5-0 lead. Slayton throwing again in the Milwaukee bullpen. Isn't it incredible? Don Sutton, such a quality pitcher, one of the all-time winningest pitchers, 258 wins. Always having trouble here. 7-14 lifetime in Busch Stadium. It's been his jinx part. Slayton in the bullpen.
Harvey Keene, Dick, continues to manage like he did all season long, and even in this series. Let Haas go, and he got some runs off him. He let Vukovich go, and he's doing it with Sutton. And this team has the ability to come back.
Sutton has been in 4 other World Series with the Los Angeles Dodgers, but never on a winning team. Well, he said he didn't feel the pressure, or at least it wasn't in his top 3. He's very hungry. It's the one thing that's eluded him. He wants a World Series ring. The play is at first base, and Oberkfell out. That serves as a sacrifice as Smith moves into scoring position.
And what happens with this rain here in St. Louis on the artificial turf is the field is going to get very fast. The ball hits, and it's going to just scoop, especially on this carpet that's worn out, as we told you earlier.
Keith Hernandez, the batter for St. Louis, has grounded out twice tonight.
That's the one pitch that's been missing in this series, is that brushback or knockdown. In fact, a lot of people asking the question why the Cardinals haven't been moving Robin Yount off the plate. Many feeling Dickie Knowles did it to George Brett in the Philadelphia-Kansas City World Series, turning that series around.
Down he goes. There's a message right there. Here comes Jim Fry out. There's a message. Jim Fry is out right now. He is really upset. He is really upset. 2 strikes, no balls, and he really low-bridged him.
Here's the pitch high and tight that moves him back. It simply says to the hitter, hey, you're taking all the plate, and half of it is mine, and I want my half back. And then there are pitchers like Bob Gibson who say, I'm not giving it back, I'm keeping it all. And then you've got that battle going.
Light rain continues to fall. Last of the 5th inning, 5-0 St. Louis. Out of play.
It's the reason right there where you have to brush a hitter like Hernandez back, because he's been trying to hit the ball off to the left side if you pitch him away. World Series. Game has never been called due to rain.
Once it has begun, a World Series game has begun. Check swing foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Hernandez.
Sutton thrown pretty hard, but they're forcing him into a lot of pressure situations. Part of it by his defense. There you'll see how hard it is raining. The initial cloud burst was harder than that, but it's still coming down pretty steadily.
George Hendrick, not even in the on-deck circle. He's back in the dugout with the rain falling, just staying dry, keeping the bat dry. Foul ball. Raining a little harder now. Now the crowd, of course, wanting the game to progress, but they can't get too unhappy because at this point they're going to have to stop play or go a full 9 anyway. It's an official game. High drive, deep right field. Hernandez will touch him off.
St. Louis Cardinals, last in the major leagues in home runs, muscle up tonight, and here it comes hard. It is really raining now as Harvey Keene goes to the mound. Hernandez lights up the scoreboard. It's 7-0 St. Louis.
So now each team has 4 home runs in this World Series. In fact, the Cardinals are the first team ever to win a division, last in home runs in their league. Look at it pour. Slayton already coming in from the bullpen. They're going to put the tarp on. The umpires are waving the teams off the field, and they're going to cover it.
So the St. Louis Cardinals leading 7-0, last of the 5th inning, 1 out. It is an official game, and now they'll cover the field. If it's true to the predictions, we probably have an hour's rain coming.
You may want to take note of the time here in St. Louis, 8:43, just to see how long it will take.
Ladies and gentlemen,
here comes a tarp to cover the dirt spot. And in Milwaukee, we have a camera at Harvey's Bar, Little Caesars, and I'm sure it's a somber crowd, hopefully waiting. There it is. That's the crowd. They're behind their Brewers. It's live. And they want this game to continue.
That's just a few blocks away from the ballpark.
Well, they're happy now. They're on national television, but they were somber before we switched there. Let's go to Bob Costas.
All right, thank you, Dick Enberg. We are with Commissioner Kuhn, and now the question everybody asks. The same rules technically apply as during regular season, but not the same philosophy, I would get.
Well, Bob, you go back and look at the history of the World Series, except for a couple of tied games, every game has been played to a 9-inning or more decision. And you'd have to anticipate that's what we're looking to do here.
What's the weather information you have?
Weather information says that this heavy rain will probably last anywhere from half an hour to an hour. Pass through, it's a rather fast-moving front, and behind it we should have perfectly acceptable weather. So we'll wait.
There's no curfew. Will we play ball, if necessary, at 2:30, 3:30 in the morning?
Without any question.
There's the fact that it's 7-0, and as close as you can get to a rout against a powerful club like Milwaukee. Does that make it different than if it was 1-0?
None whatsoever.
Let's wait.
We'll wait.
Commissioner Bowie Kuhn, let's go back upstairs to Dick Enberg, Joe Garagiola, and Tony Kubek.
Well, we've had conflicting weather reports since noon this afternoon. One of the reports that we heard that in Kansas City, west of here, it had gotten very cold and there were traces of sleet. That's unconfirmed, of course. Talked to somebody who drove down from Chicago several hours away. They said it rained. It was bad weather all the way down. So they expect cool weather to follow this. Don't know when that's going to come in.
They said there could be a 20 to 30 degree drop in temperature, and that apparently is why there was a tornado warning up for the St. Louis area until 10 o'clock tonight. I have not felt the cold weather yet, but apparently that is coming too. So a rain delay here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. For the bottom of the 5th inning, the Cardinals in front of the Brewers, 7-0. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hernandez hits a drive to deep right field. Charlie Moore to the track, to the wall. It's gone.
Just before the rains came down heavily and play was delayed, Keith Hernandez set a rocket over the boards in right center field, his first World Series home run. The 2-run blast made it 7-0 and knocked Don Sutton out of the game. Jim Slayton in relief, and Slayton has now begun his warm-ups, and we should resume play in 3 or 4 minutes, according to the umpires. Hernandez rounds the bases to the cheers of this Cardinal crowd of over 53,000. Right now, let's go down to the Cardinal dugout. Bob Costas with the home run man.
All right, thank you, Dick. And on the monitor just in front of us, Keith Hernandez watched the replay of the home run with a great deal of enjoyment. And why not? Because it took you a while to get untracked in this series, Keith.
Yeah, it did. The first three games were particularly bad. The 4th game, I swung the bat good, but right at people, and that's when I knew I was coming out. Things started looking up.
5th game, 3 hits, home run tonight. Was there ever any point during this series where you felt yourself pressing at all?
I think probably more than likely the second game off Sutton, because he is a tough pitcher and has given me trouble in the past. And when he got me out the first 2 times I pressed, so I went home that night and told myself just be relaxed and go up there and be aggressive and swing like I swung all year.
They talk less about home field advantage in baseball than in sports like football or certainly basketball or hockey, but it seems to me like in this World Series, the fans are a factor.
Oh, I agree. The Milwaukee fans were loud as can be, and the fans here are behind us, and we're trying to win this one tonight.
It's 7-0 Cardinals. We're about ready to resume, and let's go back upstairs to Joe Garagiola, Tony Kubek, and Dick Enberg.
Thank you, Bob. Tom Seaver, I'd like to get your reaction as a pitcher who may have been in this same predicament as John Stuper warms up down the right field corner. Here's a man who has pitched very well for 5 innings. He'll have even a further delay until his team makes the final 3 outs of this bottom of the 5th inning. Put us in his shoes.
One of the things at issue is youth, Dick. I think that's the thing that would be in the young pitcher's favor, of course. The other factor is how long did he spend inside the clubhouse. One thing a pitcher does in a rain delay, go in, you take all your wet clothes off, put dry clothes on, try and keep yourself warm, and maybe swing a weight, keep your shoulder loose as you can. And I really don't think it'll affect him. It might affect him if we indeed have another rainfall where he has to come out and sit down again. It will vary from each individual pitcher. One pitcher may be able to go out there 3, maybe even 4 times. Another pitcher may just, one period in the clubhouse may be too much for him. So it will vary from individual to individual, and we'll see in his case when he goes back out there.
Youth is on his side. Let's reset the defense first, Joe.
Well, Dick, I'm watching Slayton, and I can't help but think he made the point, and he said, I'm going to take as much time as I feel necessary, and he's not going to let the crowd intimidate him, because we were talking about it the other day when Mike Marshall against Joe Rudy, we had that delay, and he did not warm up in the first pitch. Rudy hit it out of sight, and Slayton's not going to let that happen. That's important.
And while he takes his warm-up toss on the mound, Harvey Keene has somebody else up in his bullpen as Stuper throws in the Cardinal side.
Looks like Doc Medich tuning up for the Brewers. He has not appeared in this World Series. Defensively, it'll be the battery of Slayton now and Simmons with the same alignment. Molitor at third, Yount at short, Gantner at second, and Cooper at first. The outfield, Ogilvie, Thomas, and Charlie Moore. Slayton has yet to throw his first pitch in the game and will face Hendrick with 1 out and the bases empty thanks to Hernandez homer just before the heavy rains. Now the Cardinal fans have come back from their cover underneath the stands, and we're set to go. Hendrick struck out and singled facing Sutton. And he comes out swinging.
Slayton has played a very important and a tough role for this Brewer team all year. He has been a starter, short reliever, long reliever, and he's done well in almost every area.
High pop, Cooper and Gantner on the right side. It's the second baseman. And Gantner squeezes the second out.
Number 15,
We had, what, about a 25, 26-minute delay, thereabouts? Maybe a couple minutes longer.
Based on the predictions we were getting, the very predictions, if that's all there's going to be in terms of rain, we were fortunate because the estimates were up to an hour and a half of heavy rain. We just had really about 10 minutes of a solid downpour. Porter, hard ground ball out and a 2-run homer, and hits this one hard to deep left. Ogilvie back. And the inning is over. The Cardinals, a long inning with a delay of rain, settle in the 5th for 2 runs on 2 hits, one of them Hernandez home run, and after 5 at Busch Stadium, St. Louis 7, Milwaukee nothing. Panoramic view of Busch Stadium, St. Louis, 53,723. The Cardinals lead 7-0. John Stuper, through 5 innings, has walked 1, struck out 2, allowed only 2 hits, both singles, one by Ogilvie, one by Moore, and leads 7-0. He has a new left fielder, David Green. Lonnie Smith is out, perhaps because of that jammed ring finger when he made the slide into second base on this play.
Back in the 3rd inning, after he'd gotten on air by Gantner, he dove, jammed the left hand into the second base bag, got it caught up. So Whitey Herzog, Gene Gieselman, the trainer, probably putting some ice on it, saving him for tomorrow.
Now Stuper will be watched closely, but he comes out throwing a strike. He has retired the last 8 batters that he has faced. Moore has one of the 2 Milwaukee hits. Hits this one deep to left field. If it's fair, it's gone. Foul ball by a couple of feet.
It's pretty obvious what they said to Stuper. Don't walk anybody, throw strikes. But with this Milwaukee club, they're loaded. It doesn't take long for them to come back.
Breaking ball that Porter wants down, about belt high inside part of the plate. He was having trouble the first few innings with that breaking ball of this game, and then after they put the 5 runs on the board, he threw the ball very well. Threw a couple of wicked sliders, and it looked like he was more loose. He was more relaxed, and the ball was moving more.
Line to Smith.
Smith, who showed his intelligence when he changed his style of play for the Brewers, playing very deeply. Game number 1, where a lot of hits were beaten out. He has adjusted, come back in. His anticipation is tremendous.
That ball was hit viciously, and Smith with the out. Jim Gantner struck out his only at bat. 2-0 the count. 7-0. St. Louis leads. Game 6, the Cardinals have to win. And if they do, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern time, Game 7. Gantner a fly to right. Routine, Hendrick there. 10 in a row retired by Stuper.
He has a very lively fastball, Stuper, when he's relaxed. That appeared or sounded like another broken bat. As far as I can count, that's 3 that I can hear way up here.
There are 2 yardsticks you can use about how live that fastball is. The broken bats that Tony talked to, and if you're keeping score, look at how many of them are in the air.
Molitor has popped up and grounded into a double play. Oberkfell, and it's another 1-2-3 inning. Now John Stuper has retired 11 in a row. We've completed 5.5 at Busch Stadium, St. Louis, and the Cardinals continue to enjoy a 7-0 advantage.
I've been hearing the so-called sports expert talk about his realistic home video baseball game. Well, I've played real baseball. And I also played the new Atari Real Sports Baseball, and I like it. Because I can sacrifice fly, as well as steal, pick off runners. Hey, it's baseball like baseball should be played. And who are you going to listen to anyhow? That other guy who just talks baseball? Or a nice guy like me who lives it?
New Real Sports Baseball, one in a series only from Atari.
Sadly, it is raining hard again in St. Louis, Missouri, as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. 7-0, the Cardinals in front. Commissioner Bowie Kuhn in contact, perhaps getting a local weather report to determine just what this front has in store for us.
So Slayton will leave. Doc Medich will come into the ball game, give Harvey Keene some innings. The move made by Harvey Keene to save Slayton, a good middle reliever, for tomorrow. And I'm not saying he's given up on this thing, but there could be delays off and on, down by 7.
Medich, who was acquired by the Brewers in mid-August from the Texas Rangers, did a good job for him. Won his first 3 decisions in Milwaukee. He's won 10 or more 4 straight years.
Control pitcher, nibble at the corners, sinker, slider, curveball, little change. He's got to be down.
Dane Ord's a double and a triple. So he's hitting .500 in the series, 6 for 12. They're going to have Dane Ord's Day up in Eureka, California this week. 2-1. Hit to left field, and well. Off the wall. And Orch has his 3rd straight extra base hit in this game.
That ball had the craziest action I've seen from directly behind home plate. It looked like it started directly over Ogilvy's head, and he stopped there, and that ball just took off. I've never seen a ball hit that high that it could knuckle, but it completely fooled Ben Oglivie with the rain coming down. So the Cardinals with extra base hit number 6. Benji looking up into the rain, can't catch up once he misjudged it slightly. He was playing Orange down toward the left field line because he slaps the ball in that direction.
Quite a night for Dane Orge, a pair of doubles and a triple.
Look out.
McGee all the way to the backstop, and on to third goes Orge. Wild pitch by Medic.
It's not even close. It just goes all the way past Simmons. Almost gets McGee. And easily to third base goes Orge.
So now the infield for the Brewers has to pull in. McGee's been safe on an error and grounded to short, so he's hit it twice at Robin Young. Change through the right side, and the Cardinals have another run. Willie McGee's 5th RBI of the World Series. And the rookie at first base with no one out, and Tom Herr the batter. 8-0 St. Louis.
Dick, a routine ground ball with the infield back. Infield in, you can see on this wet turf where it's even a little bit faster. See now with an 8-run lead if Whitey Herzog's going to back off or continue to press this Brewer team.
Tommy Herr, an RBI double and a successful suicide squeeze, so he has a couple of RBIs tonight. So despite the fact that Herr is 2 for 20 in the series, Whitey Herzog has seen a second baseman knock in 5 runs. 2 of those on a sacrifice fly.
High fly ball, center field. Thomas is going back. It'll score at least 1. I say 1 because Ozzie Smith can run. Berman Thomas falls. They're going to try to score 2. Here comes the relay throw. It is not in time.
It might be said there's no way he would run here with an 8-0 lead, but I think Whitey Herzog figures with a few more innings of at-bats for the Brewers, he may have to pad his lead more, but he'll decide. He's going. No.
Outside, 1-1.
He was leaning.
There he goes. Popped up into shallow left.
Another slow jump.
Ogilvie can't get there.
He is having trouble seeing the ball because he stayed stationary in that little looper and couldn't get it. Another thing that helped the Cardinals and got the base hit for her was Robin Yount on the steal attempt was coming over to cover second. And when the ball looped, Ogilvie, who plays a little deeper with Robin Yount, as you would with Ozzie Smith, because they go back so well, and then he couldn't recover. Robin couldn't make it and change directions.
He did a good job. Ogilvie, that ball, he actually fielded it with his bare hand. Smothering it against his body. That kangaroo's right on out to the left field wall.
Now he'll force him at the corners, and 8-0. Will Whitey try and pad his lead even more with a sacrifice attempt? Molitor and Cooper are looking for it. That shows a lot of respect. Stealing like he did with McGee, and if he does bunt, to the offense that Whitey respects of this Brewer team, even though you're up by 8.
So McGee at second. Herr at first, no one out, a run already home. Here in the 6th, it's 8-0 Cardinals. Ozzie Smith takes a strike. He has grounded out twice tonight. Rain continues to fall.
Look out.
Behind Ozzie Smith, and the runners move up on the second wild pitch of the inning for Medic.
Well, we were talking a moment ago about Doc Medich being a control pitcher, and he has thrown 2 pitches that are unbelievable. This one even more so than the one that almost hit McGee.
Simmons obviously had no chance. When you set up outside, they throw behind the hitter. All you can do is signal for a fair catch.
Cooper gets the play himself, and the runners hold. Smith hit it hard.
At this point, this game is starting to look like game number 1 here when the Brewers do a 10-0 shutout behind Caldwell at the Cardinals.
You know, gentlemen, it's been a series that really has not had that kind of memorable play that 10, 20 years from now you'll say, oh, you remember the 82 series. But the way this game is developing and forcing a Game 7, you get the feeling that something very dramatic in that deciding game tomorrow. Who will it be that gets that big blow or makes the big defensive play? Vukovich for Milwaukee. Andujar, the scheduled pitcher for St. Louis. This is David Green. His first at bat. Lonnie Smith went 1 for 3. 2 wild pitches in an inning ties a record. Actually, a game record. Medic just did it a little sooner than others. Stuper had a couple of wild pitches, as you'll recall, back in game 2. Medic having a lot of trouble getting his breaking ball in the strike zone.
It is really coming down now. We're looking at another delay.
Yeah,
they're really
at the top.
complaining.
Lee Wire, the first base umpire, looking over, and he's going to call it off one more time. Commissioner Bowie Kuhn.
So another break in the action in the 6th inning with runners at 2nd and 3rd. A run already home, 1 out. 8-0 St. Louis.
And the tarp will get a little bit more difficult each time to get out. They have the mechanical tarpaulin, as you see, that pops out of the ground. They guide it out with a little machine off rollers. If it gets a little heavier, a little more wet, Robin Yount, who had an error back in early innings, allowing 2 unearned runs. First man in World Series history to have 2 4-hit baseball games. Coming to this ball game with 5 consecutive hits, and that was stopped by Stuper.
That's a serious downfall.
I'm sure they'll wait a long time, but with 8 runs on the scoreboard, it'll kind of change the philosophy here. Almost to thinking if this were a prize fight, they'd throw in the towel and say, hey, let's go at it again.
It will make the ultimate decision much easier.
You can get under cover.
Now let's try Bob Costas again down on the first base dugout.
All right, thank you, Dick Enberg. I'm not exactly sure what camera we're on, but what you have to say is more important than what you look like soaked with rain, Commissioner. And the question they're speculating about up in the booth is the one I asked you about before. Does 8-0 make it different than 1-0?
No, you're going to play this game until we get it completed. If we have to sit here for a great many more hours, Bob. The forecast, while it looks pretty horrible now, is for this shower to last perhaps a half an hour. And then we can get showers on and off until perhaps 11 o'clock. Good heavy ones sometimes like this. Behind that, we have good, satisfactory weather. So we'll wait and we'll play. And this field, of course, cleans up very well. It's an artificial turf, and they have the Zamboni machines. They'll take the water off it if they have to. So we can play, and we'll play this.
Again, we ask the question, what if we're not so fortunate and it's just like this, and this is torrential, for 3-4 hours? You're prepared to wait, right?
Well, we're prepared to wait, but that's not what we're looking at here.
That's Commissioner Bowie Kuhn. Let's go back upstairs where it's nice and dry.
Thank you, Bob. We'll have to mop you up.
Bob, our thanks to you because he's standing by, and that's the man that makes the decision. We understand that it is raining in Milwaukee, too. And, of course, you're inside watching there, hoping that their club can come back. With the rain coming down in the Midwest, there is Milwaukee. I can't recognize the street. That would be Wisconsin Avenue if I had to guess, and that's what it is. And it is wet in Wisconsin. It is wet in St. Louis. It's 8-0 here, the Cardinals. And we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
In about 10 minutes, this game will resume. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Dick Enberg, Joe Garagiola, Tony Kubek, and Tom Seaver. Let's go right to Tom Seaver. Gentlemen, your feelings about the long and now cold weather in which the players will be performing.
Well, look out there, Dick. It's been over 2 hours, and I went downstairs outside the clubhouse, and Stuper is going to try and pitch again. Now, this is the second delay. He's come out and had to warm up for the 3rd time. Hub Kittle says he thinks he can do it. He likes the way he is throwing, and he's been sitting in that clubhouse for 2 hours. But the Cardinals are in a position they can't take a chance. I mean, they lose one game, they go home. And they're sitting on the 8-0 lead, but they want this young man to be able to pitch if he can. They don't want to go into that bullpen and have to use Cott. They don't want to have to use Bear. They certainly don't want to have to use Bruce Sutter. I think if they have to take John Stuper out of the ball game, they would probably go with Jeff Lottie. After that, maybe Doug Bear, and even pitching 1 inning for Doug Bear might do him some good. Whether John Stuper be able to go the 3 innings and get all 9 outs, which they need, of course, to wrap it up. He's working on the 2-hitter. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, 2 hours in that clubhouse, a long time for a young man to go in and sit and then come out and ask him to pitch. But, of course, it's World Series time.
Dramatic change in the temperature The game started at 71 degrees. The last reading we received was 48 degrees, so it's dropped 23, and it will get colder. Well, this past year, Ferdy Pacheco, the NBC fight doctor, has been responsible for some outstanding boxing programs. Ferdy is multi-talented. He has written books and screenplays, and he's capable of doing his own illustrating. As he has watched this World Series, he authored some cartoon impressions.
Just a reminder, Ferdy, in baseball, there's no mandatory 8 count. You have to go the full 9 innings.
And I've gone the full 9 innings every night and enjoyed every minute of it, and I've created some impressions from each game.
All right, a play, a player, and a manager. First, the play. This is the play in this series. Keith Hernandez making that great stop. Ball on a bad hop. Dave LaPointe covering. The Cardinals had a big lead in Game 4. LaPointe drops the ball, and the Brewers go on to score 6 runs and win the game 7-5.
My view of that was I thought the first baseman was thinking to himself, boy, the pitcher's got to step on first. The pitcher's saying, I got to remember to step on first. The runner's saying, that pitcher's got to step on first for me to be out. And all the time, the key to that play was the ball. And the ball, as it bounced niftily off the ground, had a thought of its own. And that thought was, but he's got to catch me first.
Well, that ball can make everyone crazy that plays this game in a way it eludes the bat and the glove and the grasp sometimes. So that's the play. How about the player?
Well, the ball couldn't get away from the most sensational catch I've seen in a long time, and that was McGee's leaping, brilliant catch at least 10 feet off the air. And while he made that catch, I was riveted to his feet. I thought he had springs on his feet when he jumped up. And then I looked up to the side, and I saw it on replay. 2 guys were looking in amazement and was saying something, and I pictured them saying, one of these days, this guy's going to spring right out of the stadium.
Right. And along with making your notes, cartoon notes during the course of the series, you've been very busy, a lot of energy on a big primetime evening, Saturday evening, November 20th, boxing on NBC.
Can't wait for that because we just signed a 3rd fight, which was Tony Ayala against Carlos Herrera. Both #1 contenders, 1 and 2 contenders for Davey Moore's crown. And, of course, the star of the show, Dwight Braxton, in a light heavyweight championship fight with Davis. And after that, the tastiest one for me, our 2 favorites, Bobby Ches against Mustafa Hamsho, NBC favorites for over the last 3 years, meet each other finally.
Sounds like a great triple header. That'll be a primetime Saturday night, November 20th. Now, your final impression, the manager.
The manager is Harvey Keene, no question about it, the personality, and for one reason, he's been the star of the NBC show.
I think you could just hold off for an inning, Harvey. Well, we've seen his expectorations throughout this World Series.
Well, it has been a chewing team in that dugout for the Brewers. Well, back to the action. David Green. 2 balls, 2 strikes to count when the rains came. The infield is in. Same defensive alignment. Harvey Keene did not pull any of the regulars out. He's going with that starting lineup. We would say a third of the crowd still with us at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Runners at 2nd and 3rd. And that's ball 3, 3 and 2. Willie McGee's at 3rd. Tom Herr at 2nd. Doc Medich in relief of Don Sutton and Jim Slayton. See the infield in. 3-2. Ball 4. The bases are loaded.
And Dick, while he was walking, Hump Kittle came down with Stuper from the bullpen, both with their jackets on. Stuper may try it, but Jim Cott continues to throw.
It may be that Stuper, in trying to warm up, just could not get loose again. So the veteran Cott, the left-hander, is throwing. So bases full. There's Cott, the 43-year-old. Oberkfell is 0 for 3. He and Ozzie Smith are the only Cardinals without a base hit tonight. 8-0 the score. Medich. Cooper, a great play, comes to the plate for the 4th. Oh, Cooper just seems to have that glove in the way of the Cardinals' bid for base hits all series long.
Playing in, as Dick told you, they were back in the middle of the diamond, but with Cooper playing in, he goes way in the air, sets himself, makes the throw. Simmons holds the ball, no chance of a double play as he watches the other runner.
Now the crowd that has stayed at Busch Stadium has lost none of its enthusiasm. Keith Hernandez, who hit a 2-run homer in the last inning, the 5th inning, but that was more than 2¼ hours ago. Bases loaded, 2 out. Line into right field. Herr scores. Green scores. It's 10-0 St. Louis. Big night for Keith Hernandez. 4 RBIs on a 2-run homer and a 2-run single. And here's George Hendrick. He's 1 for 3.
And Dick, till this point in the series, is adding up the run totals. The Cardinals have scored 30 in this series. Milwaukee 29. The hits 55 to 49. I think unusual. Cardinals with 21 extra base hits. Milwaukee with just 16.
Another base hit and another run.
Whoa, look out.
And on the high throw, Hendrick moves to second. 11 to nothing.
Hendrick gets the ball back in the strike zone, hits it to right field. Look at the water squishing off the ball, and when Charlie Moore lets it go, it takes off almost over the head of Molitor, which allows Hendrick an old-fashioned shellacking like the Cardinals got in game number 1. Boy, that hitting is contagious, Joe, because game 5, the Cardinals swung the bat so well, they're carrying it on tonight.
Confidence breeds confidence.
15 hits for St. Louis in defeat Sunday in game 5. They now have an even dozen and lead 11 to nothing. They batted around here in the 6th inning off Medic. Porter, the 9th man to hit, has a 2-run homer, 1 for 3 tonight. Defensively, it's the battery of Medic and Simmons. Molitor at third. The shortstop is Yount. Gantner and Cooper on the right side of the infield. Ogilvie in left, Thomas in center, Moore in right.
Dick, an umbrella is just blown out of the stands. And there you see it in right center field. They're going out to get it, so time has been called here.
The biggest shutout win in World Series history involved Tony Kubek on the winning side in 1960.
Whitey Ford pitched that ball game against the Pirates. And that was in the midst of Whitey's streak, shutout innings in World Series play. He's breaking Babe Ruth's record.
That was back in 1960 when the Yankees beat the Pirates 12-0, but we all know that the Pirates went on in Game 7 on Mazeroski's dramatic homer to win the series.
In fact, Whitey Ford shut that Pirate team one other time out. He got just 2 starts. He pitched 2 shutouts.
Now the Cardinals trying to administer the biggest shutout defeat ever. Porter hits it hard, and it gets through Gantner. 2 runs will score. It's 13 to nothing.
You're looking at a field right now that is about like an ice skating rink. It is just sopping wet, and that ball just kept picking up speed and just eats Jimmy Gantner up. Wow, he tried to get down, got down too late. And Jim Gantner a while ago talked about wanting to not continue this ball game. And Air is charged to Gantner. I really think if this game can serve any purpose for the Brewers, it's about what Tom Seaver said. Maybe they can get into the Cardinals bullpen, which might affect the Cardinals tomorrow.
So those 2 runs will be unearned, and any subsequent runs scored by St. Louis in this elongated 6th inning will be unearned. Well, this is just taking your punishment, and there's no TKO apparently in World Series play. There was plenty of opportunity for the decision to be made not to resume play. But here as we approach midnight Central Time, the Cardinals keep swinging. Forge, what a day he's had! But Ogilvie makes the catch. Forge, who had a double, triple, and double, lines out to left, and the crowd cheers the Cardinals 6-run sixth. To the top of the 7th team, 13-0.
7-0 Cardinals in the 6th inning. Here's the 2-1 pitch to Dane Orge, and that's lifted to left field and deep. Back goes Ogilvie on the track at the wall. It is off the wall, and Dane Orge is 3 for 3, 2 doubles and a triple.
Yeah, he's hitting the ball very hard. In the whole series, he's hit the ball well.
There's the 1-0 pitch. The infield is up now, and McGee hits a ground ball into right field, and it is 8-0 Cardinals. And scoring is Dane Orge. and they are going to have to put the tarp out. It's 8-0 Cardinals in the 6th inning, and I mean it's a heavy rain now coming down. And we're going to be here a while, I would assume. I don't think anyone is going to be very hasty about putting a lid on this ball game, even though it is so one-sided. I think the old story, the umpires charged with the responsibility of getting a complete game in. They are fortunate in the sense that they don't have to carry all the weight because you have the commissioner and the 2 league presidents, and you can naturally defer to their exalted intelligence.
No question, Benny. Plus, there's no pressure on this here. You got an 8-0 lead, second, third, and 1 out. You're really looking at, you should be looking at least 9-0. The man on third, you should get him in. So they're saying to themselves, we have no pressure. We can just sit back and wait.
The 2-0 pitch on the way. Line drive into right field, base hit. In comes Tommy Hurd. Right back of him is David Green. Over to third goes Oberkfell. 10-0 Cardinals. The score of the first game. Only Milwaukee had the 10. The 1-1 pitch, a ground ball into right field. Base hit. In comes Oberkfell. Hernandez to third, and Charlie Moore's throw is so high that down to second goes Hendrick. All right, Porter waiting, 1 ball and no strikes. George Hendrick at second, Keith Hernandez at third. And Porter, it's a ground ball to guess who? Gantner, and it goes off his glove. In comes Hernandez, in comes Hendrick. It is 13-0 St. Louis. And Gantner is having a terrible time.
That's 5.
A ball was hit to Gantner to the glove side. He put the glove down. It hit him in the glove and spun away.
At the opening pitch, there were 53,723 or thereabouts. We would say, let 20,000 left. And those that stayed after weathering that rain delay, second rain delay of 2 hours and 13 minutes, they said, as long as we're going to be here past midnight, we're going to cheer. That's a great crowd reaction.
Also, in the last 2 ball games to this point, the Cardinals have had 27 base hits. Ironically, they've left on just 2 tonight. It was the last ball game in Milwaukee. They left on, what, 12? So they've shown they can put hits and runs together on the board.
Well, it's a football-type crowd, and they have a football score on the board, 13-0. Robin Yount in the top of the 7th. Yount, a soft liner to the mound, and a fly ball to right. Stuper, consider that he threw his first pitch about 7:35. 10 before midnight St. Louis time. So it's been a long evening for this youngster from Butler, Pennsylvania. That could be the 6-game record. Ozzie Smith denies him. Ozzie Smith charging that high hopper.
That's one thing, he gets such a quick jump. Fields it 2 hands because he knew he would not on this particular play have a chance to field in the glove hand, transfer the ball. Robin Yount runs well. That's one thing that Whitey Herzog says he does as well as anybody he's ever seen at shortstop. Be able to play as deeply as he does, and rarely do you beat a ball on him. Charging so quickly.
Cecil Cooper, a long out to left and a pop fly to short, so he's hit the ball to the opposite field off Stuper.
Stuper's now retired 12 in a row.
Ozzie Smith, you don't want to hit it at him. 2 away.
Ozzie Smith is like one of those Zamboni machines. Just picks up everything in his area. Post shortstop, but he has put on quite an exhibition. Tony, I think the stuff he gets on the throws, like that one he made on Yount, that to me is amazing.
He doesn't have a great throwing arm. Talking to Whitey Herzog and Chuck Hiller, it isn't great like a Burleson or but he is so quick.
Pat Simmons, and Stuper will try to play that one himself, and does. John Stuper, 25-year-old rookie, has retired 14 in a row. Stretch half of the 7th. Cardinals have done everything but kick the extra point.
baseball fever. Catch it. It lasts forever.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
St. Louis Cardinals are 6 outs away from forcing the decisive 7th game tomorrow evening. It would be Pete Vukovich, Milwaukee right-hander, 18-6, against the National League champions right-hander Joaquin Andujar, 5-0 in September, the best right-handed record in baseball. And, of course, the one question mark, how will that right knee behave? Dick Enberg, Joe Garagiola, Tony Kubek, Tom Seaver. We have a new catcher, Ned Yost. Bottom of the 7th, 13-0. Joe?
Okay, Dick. Yost is the new catcher, and here's McGee. And it's ball one. I'll tell you, when you take a lacing like this, that next day you come out just a little bit more charged. So it looks like the 7th game, which really doesn't need any spice, will have it. Outside, 2 balls and no strikes. In Major League Baseball, an amazing statistic, 20 of the last 38 World Series have gone 7 games. Left field, Ogilvy near the line, running hard, and he makes the play. If you're keeping score, they rule it a fair ball, and there's 1 away.
And Joe, the American League presently, 3-year losing streak in the World Series. The Dodgers beat the Yankees in 6 games last year. Philadelphia beat Kansas City 6-80. Pittsburgh beat the Baltimore Orioles 4 games to 3 in 1979. Dwight Bernard starts the throwing for Harvey Keene.
Dwight Bernard loosening up for Milwaukee. Vukovich against Andujar tomorrow night. Ball 1. Well, like always, it'll be some kind of a press conference after the game. 1 ball and 1 strike to count.
Really are not. There's Ozzie Smith on deck. Many questions that can be asked. Cardinals have just whacked the tar of the ball.
High fly ball. Short left field. Yount going out. Ogilvy coming in. Ogilvy makes the play. About 5 hours on and off as far as the broadcast is concerned. Here's Ozzie Smith. How many times do you think Harvey will be asked, do you think that the rain delay hurt your ball club? And Harvey will handle it perfectly. Left center field, Ogilvy. Looks like he'll take care of the entire inning. 1, 2, 3 for the Cardinals in the bottom half of the 7th as all 3, McGee, Hearn, Ozzie Smith, fly to Ogilvy at the end of 7 full innings here. A real rout. And there is Harvey Keene looking on. It's 13-0. St. Louis leading Milwaukee, end of 7. Up for the 8th inning. Ogilvy leads it off, and fans get a little excited. A watch. That'll go to the fan who was the last one to leave the park.
Some fan threw it out there and simply said it's time to go home.
That will go down in World Series history with the mayor of St. Louis, who calls it the World Beeries. Stuper has thrown only 74 pitches. He's out there again. This game started at 7:20. We had one 26-minute delay. We had another one of 2 hours and 13 minutes, and Stuper has been in and out, warming up, and there he is again. Outside, ball 1.
Retired 14 in a row, as we told you, the last 4 in ground balls. So maybe the rain delay has taken a little bit of the edge off, and the ball is sinking more.
He's had 2 double plays, hit well to center field. McGee going back. He's in.
He just outruns baseballs, that guy. Ball is slicing away, and when you look up, he's on the move. And sometimes you don't think he's going to get there, like in the Freddie Pacheco spot, that great catch he made to left center field. Didn't look like he's going to get there, and he does. He's gliding, and yet he's covering up an awful lot of ground.
Here's Gorman Thomas. The last base runner was Moore in the 3rd inning. He was rubbed out in a double play on a ground ball hit by Molitor. He's 1 over the limit as far as the way he's working this game. John Stuper. Right at the 3rd baseman, Oberkfell. He's got it. Bad throw. Nice play. Safe. Nice play by Hernandez as he backhanded the ball, but it pulled him off the bag, and Gorman Thomas is on.
That ball's getting awfully slippery, and Obi makes a nice play on a ball that's fairly hard. You can see how he almost went down to one knee. The ball's wet. It squishes out of his hand. I'll tell you, that was a tough call for Lee Wire, the first base umpire. Mild argument from Hernandez. Marshall Edwards now. Here we'll look at it again. For this score, Hernandez didn't argue that much. You can see Hanson, the first base coach, saying keep close. Now a pinch runner, Joe.
John Money is the batter. Marshall Edwards is the pinch runner. 1 strike is the count. Hernandez with that big lead, of course, he's playing behind the runner way over. They play money to pull. They swung around. Strike 2. And there you see Hernandez, and he'll go even a couple more steps to his right as Stuper delivers. Porter sliding, gliding, falling.
Edwards, the kid pitch running now, is the man who made that sensational catch in right center field on Don Baylor in the California Angels series.
Baylor hits it to left. Wind helps it out there. Marshall Edwards to the wall. Jumps, makes the catch. Gorman Thomas is in center field. That's off the wall for extra bases.
Here's that play again, and Porter blocks it, and I tell you, in a play like that, you forget about the score as Money fouls went off. Just knew he had to block the ball, and he did exactly that. 13-0. 8th inning. 1 man on, 1 man out.
Well, the one thing the big score does give both managers is a chance to get some of the people into a World Series that might not otherwise have their name in the box score, and Edwards is one of them.
Again, Porter blocks it. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I'll tell you one thing, it's not the kind of a game where you go to bed and you stay up half the night wondering why I made this move, why didn't I do this? Turning point came early. 2-2 pitch. Short left, well, deep shortstop, call it that, because the left fielder Green never even broke in, Tony. That's the kind of respect he's got for Ozzie Smith.
Oh, when you say short left, you're pretty correct. Short left, deep short. For Ozzie Smith, it's medium left field. Ground he covers. Bowie and Mrs. Kuhn in the box.
The commissioner who said we would be here a long time, certainly believing the weatherman, made the right call. We're finishing the game. And he's giving Milwaukee every out that they have coming to him. 2 outs. It's high, ball 1 to Charlie Moore.
One thing, the Cardinals today, in fact, this whole series have gotten the best of that DH spot, especially tonight. Orge, a double, a triple, double, 3 runs scored, a line out.
Popped in the infield. Oberkfell says, I'll take it. He does. And the top of the 8th is over. 1 base runner, 1 error, no hit. We go to the no hits. We go into the bottom of the 8th to score 13-0 St. Louis over Milwaukee.
A reminder, next Saturday, NBC Sports World brings you more standout boxing action. Sugar Ray Seals and James Schuler in a scheduled 12-round NEBF Middleweight Championship. That'll be live. And from China, it's the Peking Invitational Gymnastics featuring women's invitational finals.
Green takes the first pitch for a strike. Edwards is the new center fielder, replacing Gorman Thomas. He went in as a pinch runner, and we have a new pitcher, Dwight Bernard. Fastball misses. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Bernard, during the regular season, 3 wins, 1 loss. He had 6 saves, so he did make a contribution during the part of the season. Sinker ball, slider.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Lou Adamy, the wizard of the scoreboard. I think this is his 8th World Series. He is really quick with those balls and strikes. There's his strike call. Bernard gets Green on strikes.
Number 10.
As we look ahead to the 9th, Gantner, Molitor, and Yount will bat for Milwaukee. Just be aware of the fact that there have been 15 World Series 2-hitters. The last 2-hitter was by Nelson Briles in 1971. And Stuper, he has really been something. His last base hit was in the 3rd inning. Ground ball to Yount. Really scooted off that AstroTurf or artificial surface, and he's safe as he pulls Cooper the bag, and I think that ball being wet, Tony, really was a factor there. That ball, it scooped off the artificial surface.
A lot of moisture has sunk in. Same thing happened to Oberkfell. Probably acts almost like a spinner when you throw it over. You try and grab it by the seams, but I'm sure it's gotten a lot soggier every time it hits the turf.
Pride and joy of Imlay City. Lee Wire there right on the spot to make the call. The umpiring throughout this series, we haven't had a chance to comment on it. It's just been superb.
Jim Evans, by the way, on that controversial play, gave quite an explanation of that steal of home and why he called Lonnie Smith out. Hernandez fouls it back.
St. Louis Cardinals, just a handful who have not seen action in this World Series. Pitchers Martin and Mura, Gonzalez an infielder, and Brummer the catcher have not seen action.
Well hit to right field. Charlie Moore is going back near the wall. He makes the catch at the warning track. So Hernandez hit the ball hard.
We got a chance to see the big part of the ballpark. Some of the home runs that have been hit. Hernandez, Simmons, first two games here were more down the line. This one is a little bit more towards center field, and that's the spot where the ball just died. He hit that ball a ton.
Well, that would have been 6 RBIs if that one cleared the wall.
Was he swinging the bat last game in this one?
Here is George Hendrick. Hendrick doesn't get a strike one. Getting back to that Jim Evans call, the key line, Evans says he brought the pitch down, meaning Simmons, and in my judgment, tagged Smith when his hand was over the plate, but before he got it down on the ground. 1 ball and 1 strike.
It's really a play, a tough play that becomes so incidental the way the Cardinals have thrown the... This has been an excellently umpired World Series. In fact, I saw the American League Championship Series in Milwaukee, and Don Dinkinger and the crew he is with were just exceptional.
Robin Yount and Gantner, a beautiful play, and Yount really put on an exhibition with that one as he roamed 4 to his left, backhanded it, and they got the force and it ends the inning. So as we look at that play, watch Yount get way over the other side of the bag, flip it back. And that ends the inning. At the end of 8 full innings, Cardinals 13, Milwaukee nothing.
It's one of my bigger days. Let me buy a beer. Sure. These fans, I love them. When I came in, they didn't recognize me at first, but then when I told them who I was, next thing you know, they're buying me my favorite beer, light beer from Miller. They know us ex-big leaguers drink light because it's got a third less calories than their regular beer. It's less filling, and it tastes great. Thanks. Hey, it's a pleasure to buy a beer for a great pitcher like Whitey Ford.
So I lied. Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Hey, Whitey, I thought you were a lefty. Oh, that's right.
13-0, the score here. The Cardinals are out in front. We are in the top of the 9th inning. Down the left field line, it is a fair ball. A fair ball, looks like extra bases for Jim Gantner. And on the first pitch, Gantner doubles down the left field line. And while we got a chance here, Tony, tonight's NBC Miller High Life Outstanding Player of the Game is John Stuper. No other reason coming back as many times as he did. And Miller High Life is happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Stuper to the Special Olympics.
It's had a pretty good streak going. Remember, this Brewer team over a couple of years was shut out just once in 219 consecutive games during the regular season.
Foul ball drifting into the stands and a strike 1. Paul Molitor is the batter.
Joe, we want to acknowledge those Milwaukee Brewers who have not seen action thus far in this World Series, as we have already done for the St. Louis Cardinals. Get a break here. We'll run down the names of the Milwaukee players who have not seen duty.
The new catcher is Brummer. Molitor doesn't get him to strike 2. Glenn Brummer, there you see him.
I'll tell you somebody else in the Brewer organization missing this trip anyway. A man who'd been with him the entire year, Mark Padgett, director of special events. He was hit by a car and fortunately did not get seriously injured.
Center field, they're going to hold Gantner up at third as the throw comes in to Ozzie Smith, so it's first and third.
for the Milwaukee Brewers, and Robin Yount is the batter.
Number 19, shortstop Robin Yount.
There they are. Rowley Fingers, who apparently, now we might see him yet in the 7th game. Rob Pichelot, Ed Romero, infielders and outfielder Mark Brohard. Brohard, young man who subbed for the injured Ogilvy in the American League Playoff Series and came through.
Set a record, 4 runs scored, League Championship Series.
It gets by Brummer, and there goes the shutout as Gantner comes in to score, and Molitor heads down to second base. So it's 13-1.
Sounds like a Canadian Football League score.
Trying to overthrow to preserve his shutout. What a ball game this kid has pitched, though. Brummer tries to slap it down. It got by, and the run scored.
Ball 1 to count on Robin Yount. High hopper, Oberkfell at third. The throw. It is in time. On at second base, Molitor.
Number 15, first baseman Cecil Stuper.
The Cardinal bullpen starts to get busy. Lottie and Martin. Martin, the left-hander. 1 man out. Cecil Cooper is the batter. We're in the top of the 9th. And tomorrow night it'll be Vukovic and Andahar, is what we are told.
Pitching matchup starting to come around again. Sutton Stuper today. They matched up earlier in the series. Same as Andahar and Vukovic did.
High fly ball, right center field. McGee says, I'll take it. Molitor holds at second. There are 2 outs.
Number 5, catcher Caldwell.
Strike 1. This crowd, from the very beginning, of course, hometown crowd looking for the big victory. They want the 7th game, and there will be a 7th game as the Cardinals lead 13-1. And they'll tell us exactly what's happening with each pitch. Listen. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ned Yost is the batter. Yost came on, replacing Simmons. And 1 strike, 2 outs. John Stuper. What a job he has done, the young rookie. Rain delays of 26 minutes, 2 hours and 13 minutes when he came back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Now they'll really react to this pitch. Strikes, 2 outs, top of the 9th. Cardinals leading 13-1. He walked him. So Yost is on, and Ben Ogilvy will be the batter with Molitor at second. Yost
number
first,
24,
and 2 men out. Exactly 5 hours ago this game started. 12:20 here in St. Louis. Base runners at first and second, 2 outs, top of the 9th. Strike the count. 1-1. 2 outs.
He's still popping the fastball pretty good.
This could be it. Listen to the roar. We'll be right back after these messages. Final score, Cardinals 13, Milwaukee 1. Game 6 of the 1982 World Series has been brought to you by Atari, a leader in home computers and video games that challenge you, teach you, and touch your life. And by light beer from Miller, everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Sharp Electronics Corporation. From sharp minds come sharp products. Again, the final score, St. Louis 13, Milwaukee 1. Now remember, Wednesday, NBC Sports continues its coverage of the 79th World Series. Join Tony, Dick, myself, the rest of the NBC Sports team for Game 7 starting 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Saturday, NBC Sports World. Sugar Ray Seals tangles with James Schuler in a scheduled 12-round NABF middleweight championship fight. Now, stay tuned for the late night show with David Letterman.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Airlines. We serve more of this land's top 100 business centers than any other airline. Fly the friendly skies.